cases around from Trayvon Martin to Michael Brown, and he is the national civil rights attorney of our time. Let us welcome at this time to our broadcast Attorney Ben Crump. Attorney, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me, Reverend Harris. For all the work you do in California and around the country, you represent our future, Rev.
And as I noted, you've been involved in all of these cases from when Trayvon Martin happened, way before that, but, in 2012, yeah. When Trayvon Martin happened, it really shook the world, really brought back to our consciousness around these issues of policing and particularly these cops getting off. What does it, first of all, as someone who's been on the forefront of this issue as a civil rights attorney, what does this mean to you, what happened yesterday?
It's very important, and when you think about the legacy of the Trayvon Martins of the world, the Michael Browns of the world in Ferguson, Missouri, Eric Gardner in Staten Island, New York, Laquan McDonald in Chicago, Sandra Bland in Houston, Texas. In many of these cases, nobody was ever held accountable criminally, even though in the civil matter we were successful. In many of these cases, nobody was ever held accountable. And so that was, in many regards, they were promoted. And in Ferguson, the killer Michael Brown raised a ton of money on GoFundMe from a lot of people who, for whatever reason, thought that it was okay to kill little black boys. And so this, what happened yesterday, it symbolizes hope, just like when the case in Oklahoma City, the officer was convicted for 163 years for raping the 13 black women. I often thought how many of our sisters had been sexually assaulted and brutalized in days past, and nothing had happened. But that represented hope, just like Slager going to prison represented hope for so many brothers who have been victimized, brutalized, and killed by police officers. It harkens back to Emmett Till and before. So I'm so very proud of Justin Vanberg, Chris Stewart, and others who worked on the case in the civil matter. They are a great generation of young attorneys that are taking up the mantle of civil rights, and we got to encourage more brothers and sisters like yourself, Reverend Harris, to take up the mantle of leadership. We have to pass the torch to the next generation and keep marching forward for our children's future.
Yes, I agree, Attorney. Now, let me ask you, why is it that in all of these cases particularly, yesterday what happened was historic. I think up to 24 years he's been given to go to prison. And I think that with the historic premises that was set yesterday, what do you and others are probably talking in the legal community, what is the future of these officers who clearly are wrong, being able to let this set a path for justice for other families?
Well, we have to remember that it's such a yeoman's effort to get simple justice for our people when it's a little black or brown person laying dead on the ground. This was a federal conviction on a plea deal, a plea agreement. You remember the state charges in South Carolina, the jury was deadlocked despite all that overwhelming visual evidence. Everybody saw the video. The man was running away, Reverend Harris, and, the police officer, he stopped and aimed. It wasn't like his life was in danger and he was a threat in any way. It was broad daylight and the man was running away from you, and yet you shot him multiple times in the back. I think one of the most cowardly things you could ever do is shoot somebody in the back. Right. So I think this case is one that offers hope, but many of the cases, you're not going to have that objective evidence like that. You may have a big piece of objective evidence like being shot in the back, because I think it's a cliche hearing that a black man was shot in the back by the police. I wrote an essay for the American Bar Association that got a lot of critical acclaim. It was called "The Police Don't Shoot White Men in the Back." You just rarely hear about the police shooting a white man in the back, but you always hear about them shooting black men in the back. So tomorrow, when you think about what's going to happen tomorrow in these cases here, this is something that we can use to say there's a precedence there, but we got to remember the Justice Department under this current president is not going to take many of these cases of the police killing minorities as a priority. And so it's going to fall back to the states, and we see that the states, regardless of the overwhelming evidence, Laquan McDonald and, Eric Garner, just a few that come to mind, even with overwhelming evidence, these state attorneys are not pushing forward on these cases because of these police unions and politics. So that's what I love about National Action Network. We have to have a union for the people. And so what we have to remember is the Supreme Court of the United States has made this precedent, this standard that all the police have to say is these three little words: I felt fear.
Yep.
I was in fear. And if they say that there, then it's like everything after that is justified. So that is the troubling precedent that's out there. This president that we have in the White House right now is putting judges on the bench that think like him, and so we're going to have to fight even harder.
And so people can be clear, these are federal judges that are in our local areas that are making rules and setting laws, and these are the ones in our neighborhoods who are putting people away or incarcerating people at high rates, even with low minor offenses. These are the ones who are not prosecuting these cops, these federal judges that are being appointed. I think he's appointed 100 some odd judges, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. He's appointed more judges in this first year than President Obama appointed his whole 8 years. And so that's really troubling, because even after he's gone, these judges are going to be around for life, advancing their political ideology. You said about these high incarceration rates. I've always said it was bad what happened to Trayvon Martin, being profiled, pursued, and shot in the heart, Reverend Harris. But I think it's worse in many, many ways how little black and brown boys and girls are killed in courtrooms every day in every city all across America with these felony convictions, these trumped up felony convictions that they have to wear like a cross on their back forever. I mean, forever. In the information age, you can hardly ever get away from felony conviction. And so you know how that affects you for the rest of your life, and getting jobs and every other manner of life. It impacts you in so many ways. But every day they're going to the courthouse and they're getting killed by these judges.
Yep. Well, we've got to really, really be cognitive of what he's doing with these federal judges, because that is in many cases real. People are worried about the Supreme Court, but this is in many cases the ones in our communities who are making decisions where we are. So it's very important.
Yeah.
Well, attorney,
go ahead. Reverend Harris, I just want to say that's why elections matter. Yeah. That's why we got to get out and vote. We got to vote like our lives depend on it, because our lives do depend on it.
Yep. And you got a lot of people on the Facebook page agreeing. This is very important, and we've got to be cognitive of next year. A lot of elections are going to happen. There are going to be there's going to be elections happening regarding superior court judges and so on and so forth in our local cities. People need to be aware of that, and aware that these are the people making decisions. These are the ones who are sending the Meek Mills of our community to prison. These are the ones who are doing these kind of things. So, attorney, thank you so much, and we look to have you on again, because it's very important when you look at all of these cases, and particularly what happened yesterday. It's sad that 24 years is a history maker. He should have been sent to prison for life, but it's a start.
Absolutely.
It's a start when someone gets 24 years.
Thank you, Rev, for having me, and tell everybody in the audience to tune in on Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to A&E Television, Who Killed Tupac, A Search for Justice. We talk about due process a lot in that documentary series.
What's coming up this week on Who Killed Tupac? Give us a sneak peek.
Yes, sir, Reverend. As we're talking about the theory of the death row takeover, this theory that Tupac was killed as collateral damage, that the real target was Suge, Mary, and Knight, because they were trying to take over Death Row Records, which at the time was valued at $500 million. That's back in 1995. The only thing equivalent to them right now would be Beyonce and Jay-Z's combined fortune, because you remember Death Row had Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and Tupac. I mean, they were rolling. Yeah. And so that is what the theory is for next week's episode.
All right, we'll be tuning in. Make sure y'all tune in A&E, and this is at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Rev. Thank you so much.
Right, thank you. Attorney Ben Crump, thank you so much. And we're going to call-ins right now around the country. I'm going on a quick break. When we get back, I'm taking call-ins 619-431-3186, 619-431-3186. I'm taking call-ins around the country. Get On Up is live. Hey, everybody. This is Reverend Shane Harris. Every Friday, I hold a live radio show at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on www.ktav.tv. The show is called Get On Up with Reverend Shane Harris, and we discuss all of the country's issues, from Washington, D.C. to your local community, social dialogue, political impact, and strategy talk. For all of our communities to realize that we don't have to get down. We got to get up and know what we're doing. So it's strategy time. Every Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Get On Up with Reverend Shane Harris on KTAV.tv.
You are listening to the San Diego station of inspiration. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. KTAV Radio. For more information on how you can advertise your business, event, or services, please visit us online at KTAV.tv or call 619-246-6131. We are also offering 30 and 60-minute time slots for your ministry or podcast. For more information on how you can become a part of KTAV's Station of Inspiration lineup, please call 619-246-6131 or visit us online at ktav.tv/ministry. You are listening to the San Diego station of inspiration. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. KTAV Radio. For more information on how you can advertise your business, event, or services, please visit us online at ktav.tv or call 619-246-6131. We are also offering 30 and 60-minute time slots for your ministry or podcast. For more information on how you can become a part of KTAV's Station of Inspiration lineup, please call 619-246-6131 or visit us online at ktav.tv/ministry.
Hey everybody, this is Reverend Shane Harris. We are live every Friday. Get On Up with Reverend Shane Harris, live every Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on KTAV.tv. Tune in for more information from the highest levels of the country.
to the lowest levels of our community and how we deal with that and how we fight for what we believe in. Strategy talk, strategy session, and political commentary out of this world. Conversation on the important issues and social dialogue. Get on up with Reverend Shane Harris live every Friday at 9 a.m. PST on www.ktv.tv. Tune in with me and get on up with Reverend Shane Harris.
All right. We are back live on Get On Up with Reverend Shane Harris. And those of you who are tuning in from around the country, please be sure to tell somebody to tune in, tell somebody to call in. 619-431-3186. We're taking call-ins. And we're live on YouTube at Bill Brown KTAV. Type it in your YouTube search. Right now we're live. And we are live on Facebook. Get on up with Reverend Shane Harris. And we're live on KTAV.tv. So, with that being said, I want to begin, before I begin our call-ins, saying that my morning thought this morning is that you need to keep your head in the game. Oftentimes, our lives get boggled down with lots of stuff happening, but we've got to keep our head in the game and stay on our target. Where are you trying to go? What are you trying to do? Stay on your target. I'll begin now with our call-ins. I have Pastor Jared Moten from San Diego Ebenezer Baptist Church calling in, and he's also happens to be the vice president of the San Diego chapter of the National Action Network. Reverend Moten, thank you for joining me.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity.
Reverend, what are you calling in concerning today? What's going on?
I'm calling in concerning the Peace Resource Center and a woman by the name of Bessie Becken, who is the chairman of the board there. What has happened here in San Diego is the fact that a slate of African-American individuals was placed before the board chairman. They were a diverse group that the group is comprised of all white individuals, mostly male, and they have turned over. They have refused to allow that slate to come forward, and we're outraged. We're outraged because an organization that talks about peace and talks about diversity and inclusion is excluding African Americans. One of the individuals who is on that slate is a gentleman by the name of Dr. Darwin Fishman. All I have to say is you have a doctor in front of his name. He also works for the Peace Resource Center. How can he not be qualified to be in that position? One other thing I want to make known is that we went down on yesterday to hold a press conference at their board meeting to speak about our outrage and let them know here in San Diego we won't tolerate Trump mentality of exclusion and racism, and they sent out a press release saying because of bad weather, they have canceled the meeting. The only bad weather they had was the storm of individuals who were coming down there who were outraged at what's going on. So that's the only storm that was there. San Diego is the most beautiful city in America. We have some of the best weather all around the country, and you're going to cancel with a lame excuse because of bad weather. It was simply the fact that you knew we were coming to march on your location, and we're going to have justice.
That's right. You know, I'm laughing because we didn't even have bad weather last night. We didn't have any bad weather, so you know it was a lie from the start. Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Mo. How can people follow up with this issue?
Well, what they can do is they can call the San Diego chapter of National Action Network and, make known that they have interest. Also, next Wednesday, we plan on doing a press conference in front of the Peace Resource Center to let them know that they can a dastardly act and feel as if it's going away. We're going to stand for justice until we get it.
Well, Reverend, we're behind you right here, and we're going to make sure that we get an update from you next Friday after next Wednesday's press conference. Thank you, Reverend Jim.
Sounds good, my brother. God bless.
Thank you. Senior pastor of the Ebenezer Baptist Church, and we are live here on Get On Up with Reverend Shane Harris. And we're taking call-ins, 619-431-3186, 619-431-3186. I'm going on a break. When we get back, taking a couple more call-ins, and then our politics panel shortly.
You are listening to the San Diego station of inspiration, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, KTAV Radio. For more information on how you can advertise your business, event, or services, please visit us online at KTAV.tv or call 619-246-6131. We are also offering 30 and 60-minute time slots for your ministry or podcast. For more information on how you can become a part of KTAV Station of Inspiration lineup, please call 619-246-6131 or visit us online at ktav.tv/ministry.
Hey everybody, this is Reverend Shane Harris. We are live every Friday. Get on up with Reverend Shane Harris, live every Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on KTAV.tv. Tune in for more information from the highest levels of the country to the lowest levels of our community and how we deal with that and how we fight for what we believe in. Strategy talk, strategy session, and political commentary out of this world. Conversation on the important issues and social dialogue. Get on up with Reverend Shane Harris, live every Friday at 9 a.m. PST on www.ktav.tv. Tune in with me and get on up with Reverend Shane Harris.
All right. We are back here live on Get On Up with Reverend Shane Harris. Tell somebody to tune in, www.ktav.tv, YouTube. You could tune in at the Bill Brown KTAV page, or you could tune in on Get On Up with Reverend Shane Harris Facebook page. And call in 619-431-3186. I'm taking call-ins until 9:40 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We are live with Dr. Darwin Fishman from San Diego, also calling in regarding the Peace Resource Center. Dr. Fishman, thank you for joining the broadcast.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate Reverend Moten coming out and supporting us last night, and unfortunately got canceled. But I understand when you bring the heat, a whole lot of folks get scared. But it's time. We've been battling this for over 8 months now, and it hasn't worked. We're reaching out now and asking for community help. There's been too many racist incidents at the Peace Resource Center.
Yeah, what exactly is the next plan of action? We understand that Betsy Becken, who's the president of the board, from Reverend Moten, what he said, has blocked the slate, and many of us believe it was because communities of people of color were involved. What's next on the program for this issue?
We haven't decided yet on the next action. We're kind of in limbo. Sunday, when we had our general membership meeting, we had a slate of 6 people, 3 people of color, and I had to confirm that was the first time ever that the Peace Resource Center had on their slate 3 people of color, and it was also the first time that's ever been blocked, and it was blocked by one person, And because of our consensus process, it means that all 6 people are not allowed to go onto the board as full members now because of Betsy Becken, the board president. So we got to find ways to put more pressure on her and to let people know that this has been an ongoing struggle for us and that it's really important to diversify the Peace Resource Center and to make that transition now. If we didn't commit to this on the slate, the Peace Resource Center would have no people of color. It would be an all-white board.
Right. Well, we're going to keep watching this issue and see what we could do. I know Reverend Moulton is planning on potentially holding a press conference in front of the PRC next Wednesday to address the fact that they did not meet last night. But we're going to keep seeing what we could do. And Dr. Fishman, we got your back.
I really appreciate that. Thank you, man.
Thank you. We're taking call-ins from around the country, 619-431-3186. We're going into our politics panel shortly, 619-431-3186. We are live here on Get On Up with Reverend Shane Harris, and I'm going now to my friend and brother from Riverside, California, Pastor Jess Markham. Good morning, Pastor Markham.
Hello.
Hey, good morning.
What's going on, man?
What's going on, Doc?
Man, everything cool like Sunday school, man. Yes, sir.
What's going on this week?
What's going on with you, Doc?
What's the word, man? What's the word?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well.
What's good, man?
I'm doing well. I like to say if you got another day, you got another shot.
Say it again, Doc.
If you got another day, you got if you got another day, you got another shot. I'm cool like Sunday school.
There you go.
Tell me what's going on, Doc.
Man, I can't call it, Doc.
What's the word on the street?
The word on the street is, Doc, all is well, brother. All is well.
That's a good word. That's a good
all
word.
Is well, man. I'm just maintaining, man, looking to the hills. Who is coming my help, because my help comes from the Lord, Doc.
That's right. And if our help ain't coming from the Lord, then we don't know who it's coming from, because he's the only one that could do it. So
yes, sir. You absolutely, man. Absolutely, Doc. I was listening to the words a moment ago on my phone, and you know how sometimes you can push the button where you can hear it, the actual word play.
yeah.
I'm having some difficulties because the dog thing won't turn off.
Oh, Doc.
Yeah, man. But it's all good, Doc. I can still talk to it. Yeah, man. I'm just excited, man, about what God is doing, because we so focused on what was happening in California with the fires. And I understand that, and my prayers are with those families, man. But God is doing something greater, because what the devil meant for bad, God's gonna turn around for our good, man.
That's right.
Sir. And I'm just listening here, man, because we can't get so focused on what the enemy is doing. We gotta focus on what God is doing, because God outdoes the enemy every time.
That's right.
Yeah, so I'm just if we keep our focus on Him, we can't get placed in the enemy. We can't glorify what He's doing to the believers. We gotta focus on what God already did for the believers.
That's right.
So, we all know the battle is already won, and we already know that He already conquered. He already conquered what's been established already. So we got to just walk on what He already conquered, and just continue to execute the plan of God, man.
That's right. That's right, Doc. Well, y'all need to hear the word from Pastor Markham. He said it, and he's given us our morning sermon this morning. Thank you, Pastor Jess.
Okay, have a good one, Doc.
All right, my friend, my brother, Pastor Jess Markham from Riverside, California. We're going on a quick break. When we get back, I'm going into my politics panel. It's going to be hot, lots to discuss, closing out the hour. Stay right there.
Hey, everybody, this is Reverend Shane Harris We are live every Friday. Get on up with Reverend Shane Harris, live every Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on KTAV.TV. Tune in for more information from the highest levels of the country to the lowest levels of our community and how we deal with that and how we fight for what we believe in. Strategy talk, strategy session, and political commentary out of this world. Conversation on the important issues and social dialogue. Get on up with Reverend Shane Harris, live every Friday at 9 a.m. PST on www.ktav.tv. Tune in with me and get on up with Reverend Shane Harris.
You are listening to the San Diego station of inspiration. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. KTAV Radio. For more information on how you can advertise your business or services, please visit us online at ktav.tv or call 619-246-6131. We are also offering 30 and 60-minute time slots for your ministry or podcast. For more information on how you can become a part of KTAV Station of Inspiration lineup, please call 619-246-6131 or visit us online at ktav.tv/ministry.
Hey everybody, this is Reverend Shane Harris. We are live every Friday. Get on up with Reverend Shane Harris, live every Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on KTAV.tv. Tune in for more information from the highest levels of the country to the lowest levels of our community and how we deal with that and how we fight for what we believe in. Strategy talk, strategy session, and political commentary out of this world. Conversation on the important issues and social dialogue. Get on up with Reverend Shane Harris, live every Friday at 9 a.m. PST on www.ktav.tv. Tune in with me and get on up with Reverend Shane Harris.
You are listening to the San Diego station of inspiration. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. KTAV Radio. For more information on how you can advertise your business, event, or services, please visit us.
All right. We are back live for the last segment of the show to deal with the politics of where we are, and we are going into our politics panel. Tell somebody to share. Tell somebody to tune in, KTAV.tv. Get on up with Reverend Shane Harris' Facebook page, YouTube. You can go to Bill Brown, KTAV, and tune in right now. We're going into our politics panel, and I have the man himself, the man of the hour, the man who's here every week, our professor, analyst, attorney, Amos Jones. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Reverend Harris. It's good to be back.
I also have with us Regina. I also have with us Regina Wilson from the California Black Media, who's also joining our politics panel. Lots to discuss as I'll begin with both of you, Amos in Washington, D.C., and Regina Wilson in Sacramento, California. I'll begin with you, Regina. Help us paint a picture around this whole idea around what's going on. And first of all, I want to give big congratulations to our California, particularly my senator from San Diego, Tony Atkins, who is now going to become the Senate leader of the California Senate, and that is a big deal. But as we begin in dealing with Trump and Flynn and all this, Regina, let me ask you,
with this whole issue going on with Flynn, who has now said himself that he admitted to having the Russian ties and communicating with Russian officials during the campaign, the Trump campaign, and even at the forefront of the Trump administration as he became president. What does this mean for our country when you look at this whole clearly now? They're even saying that Trump is involved in this whole issue around issue around Russia, that Trump now is being investigated now that Flynn is gone. It seems like sights are being set on the president. What does this mean regarding Flynn coming out himself and saying, I spoke to Russians, I was doing Russian ties, even during the
investigation? And I gotta tell you, I'm not immersed into what's happening at the federal level. Obviously, we're seeing the news reports and what people are saying, but from what I've read, some things that I've read, people are really at this place. One, you have Republicans who are working to discredit Mueller, but I do think that the investigation has to play out, because one article I think I read in the Washington Post said, okay, so he admitted that he spoke to Russians, but he did that in the capacity where he was supposed to do it because that was his job. So I think that we really have to be careful. I think we're in this place now that everything kind of looks like, all these allegations always look like something, and I think that we are going to have to be careful. I think that we do have news media and cable news, no matter where you're at, where people want certain things to happen, and I think we've got to just wait for the investigation, for the outcomes to happen, so that it seems that it's fair and balanced, I guess, so to speak, to understanding what really went on, and if they were, if there was collusion. But I think a lot of people said that, because Flynn said this, it just meant that he was a liar, not that he necessarily colluded with Russians in the campaign aspect. So I've heard a lot of different reports. That's not the stuff that gets played on cable news. I think you got to sort through and read some of the things that are being said, and I'm just kind of still waiting, because every day there's something new that comes out, and I think that the American people, unfortunately, are probably exhausted.
Yeah.
Between the tweets and hearing about Russia, I think people are just exhausted. I'm in the media, and I know I'm exhausted. So I'm waiting for concrete evidence and reports to come out so that I can really pay attention, because every day there's something, and you can just probably go nuts, hearing the speculation every day about something going on and not really having all the facts. So
now,
I'm sorry, I may not have much to add other than that.
Good. That's a good analysis. We're going to come back to you. I want to talk about these sexual allegations, which is something I think you can speak to. But Amos, let me go to you. They're trying now to potentially undermine Mueller. They're trying to clearly, really in dealing with this whole Flynn aspect, which I think is important. Give us an analysis on. They're now saying that Trump is now going to be the main target of this investigation. Now that Mueller's done with Flynn, he's going to Trump. What does this mean potentially for the president of the United States?
Well, I don't think anybody is surprised that Donald Trump is a target of the investigation, right? And the reason is that when the special counsel was appointed, it happened after the firing of James Comey as FBI director. And the firing of James Comey as FBI director, at the time he was investigating and asking questions about Russian interference, and it was established that he had conversations with Donald Trump about the investigation, and because Donald Trump forced him into those conversations. We know that President Trump is implicated. We also know that there were people who wanted President Trump removed the morning after the election as well. So, I mean, it's no surprise that this is all going. Now, the attack on Mueller may be founded in part and unfounded in part. There was this problem of this investigator who was clearly partisan against Republicans who was mixed, and the Congress was conveniently left in the dark, even though they had specifically asked questions about that. So is that obstruction of justice too, or is it just contempt of Congress?
Right.
So we got a lot of stuff going on. Alan Dershowitz always makes the point that our criminal law is incredibly vague. The criminal code in many cases is very, very vague, and new and intriguing ways of charging people can pop up. So we've got to really look at this. We also know that the president may not be indicted for exercising his executive authority, perhaps. That is to fire people, because after all, the president's the chief executive officer. But the president, in terms of obstructing justice, can simply just be impeached, not indicted, perhaps, and then it's left to the Senate trial to determine the guilt. Bill Clinton was impeached, but he was acquitted.
Right. That's a good point. Let me go cornering back on this Roy Moore situation and all the men that are coming out now and resigning. I want to go back to Regina Wilson. This is something I do think that she can speak to. Regina, you are obviously a very strong woman in our state, a leader, and the head of the California Black Media. But I think something particularly important that we should draw attention to around this Roy Moore, and now Al Franken is resigning in the next few weeks. Conyers is leaving, and he's giving it the platform to his sons, and now even a Republican senator, I believe, has announced his resignation. It seems like, and then we go down the line to Russell Simmons, to tons and tons of people stepping down, stepping away. It seems like there's a flu going around, and we might need a flu shot. What is going on regarding? Regina, how do we deal with the context of what is going on with these allegations? Roy Moore, particularly today, Trump is in Pensacola, Florida, I believe, rallying for Roy Moore at the border just 20 miles out from Alabama. He said, I won't go to Alabama because I don't want to stand with Roy, but I'll do the rally 20 miles out so his constituent base can come and so that the media in Alabama can come. It seems like there's a lot of tricks in the bag here. What exactly is going on, Regina? First of all, breaking in this, what is going on? How do men, particularly in politics and in leadership, deal with this kind of climate? Are we out of hand with this, or is this stuff really important to analyze? These allegations.
Well, so that's fully loaded, and I'm going to tell you, since all of these allegations, I have been really trying to wrap my brain around how I feel about this. I have been fortunate to work for a family business, but I've also worked in Fortune 500 companies right after college, and I've had to deal with men. I've fortunately I've had hostile work environment, but I haven't had a sexual assault, which I think God probably has done that on purpose, because knowing me, it probably wouldn't end well for the guy if somebody sexually assaulted me.
Yeah, I know that because I'm your brother. So that's self-defense. So nobody can take this clip and say, I said anything else otherwise later. But I will tell you this: I'm concerned about the climate. I'm concerned about the character of the people that we prop up, and I think we need to be much more careful about propping people up without knowing their true integrity. But I also don't condemn all men. So while I think that there are probably lots of claims where women are talking about things that have happened and say something, and not do it in a way where we have these cases where it's his word against your word or your word against his word. So while we know that there's many instances where the Russell Simmons of the world probably were foul, or Matt Lauer, or who had, whatever, I think that it's kind of horrible when we don't give the due process. So for even Conyers, Congressman Conyers, I feel like we need to be careful. I have an African-American son, but I'm teaching my son to respect women. But I also understand the history of Emmett Till, where you had his accuser falsely accuse him of whistling or doing whatever he did to the white woman, and now years later, I think just this year, she came out and said she lied. Yep.
And his whole body was mutilated, and those the people who did this to him got off. So because I have an African American son and I have a black husband, I am particularly, or I'm married to a man, I am particularly concerned at a woman's ability to just be able to accuse without some evidence, and this is me saying this as a woman, because I also know that no one said anything when we celebrated Hugh Hefner.
Right.
Bringing girls out to his Playboy mansion, and women have used their sexuality to get ahead in time.
Yeah.
So I think we have to be very careful to make sure that there's due process in place, because we don't just have it where a whole bunch of innocent women have, so some women haven't put themselves in some of these situations, and this is not for your women listeners to get upset for me saying this. I think we just have to be honest about what we know, and me as a woman, knowing what I've seen in some of these cases, and we have to make sure that we have due process, because I would hate for these allegations to destroy people's lives if they weren't true.
I agree.
So that's me saying it, and I had this conversation with a male colleague of mine, and he said, Regina, that I'm as a male, I can't say it, so he needed me to say that. So I wanted to make sure I got that out, because, he said there's women, this is a black elected in Southern California, and he says, you know how many women I've had, tell me, oh yeah, go put your suit on so you can go make that money for us. That could be construed as a very, hey, so that you go to little fundraisers and look good so people give you money so that we can stay, doing what we're doing. And I just, so I think that we have to be careful and making sure that we take these allegations seriously and have create a process so that people can tell.
Yeah.
But not just be able to say, hey, with the Congressman Conyers, 20 years, I forgot how long it was, but the lady worked for him for 13 years. I got to tell you, I understand, wanting to make sure that your livelihood, but I would have got out of there. You can't have somebody proposition you and then you're like, well, now I'm going to kind of tell what happened, and you never said anything to anyone else. So I just think that we have to create a system in place so that people can tell in advance, and that we don't create this system of enablers, because there's also people who I believe kind of enable that kind of culture, and we have to figure out how we get more people just to be credible, decent human beings with integrity.
Right.
To stop things whenever we know that something's wrong.
Now, I've got to go because I've got to get on a call with the attorneys for Cyntoia Brown. Many of us are understanding what is happening in Tennessee around Cyntoia Brown, a young woman who was in prison at 16 because she shot her pimp. And I will be seeing how I can support her. So I'll just be speaking to her attorneys in just a minute. 1 minute. Amos, break it down. Will Roy Moore win?
I agree with everything that this fine journalist has said.
Well, real quick. I want you to tell us, what is your weekly analysis of Roy Moore? Will Roy Moore beat Doug Jones, or will Doug Jones beat Roy Moore in Alabama? What is your prediction?
I believe it'll be relatively close, probably a 3-point election, and either way, but I believe that Roy Moore has the edge. There's a difference between what people do and what people say that they do. And that goes on all sides of all issues. I believe that a lot of people who are ashamed of their vote or who are not happy about their vote are really feeling that they have to vote against what they see as a runaway left-wing agenda, because this is Alabama. The other thing I should say is there was a great comment on Hugh Hefner. Some of us did trash Hugh Hefner over the years as a dirtbag purveyor of pornography. I'm a member of the American Baptist Churches in the USA. We have called condemnation and elimination of pornography from society by resolution for years, and that's the more liberal Baptist convention. So some of us are consistent on this. One thing about Roy Moore is, if he did all of those things, obviously he knows that they're dead wrong, and he is acting like he has a guilty conscience. And I think that that's important, to keep a conscience, even if you did wrong, and to act like there might have been something correct with what you did. So, this is man maybe to be a hypocrite. I don't know that he's irredeemable. I would have problems and reservations about voting for him for sure, but I'm not a conservative Alabama voter. So I believe he's going to pull that out. And so we got to watch all this. There are media stars following Reverend Harris, and I think your guest here is just brilliant on how we have to really look at this case by case. Right. And a whole lot of heads need to roll and should have rolled a long time ago, and I'm with her. Stand up and fight back. Stand up and fight back in the moment. And we owe it to our colleagues to stand with them instead of hunkering down like cowards, which is what 99% of American workers do in the face of clear injustice against their coworkers. Why? Because they're afraid of that cheap check coming in.
That's right. Well, we'll end on that note. I'm getting on a call with Centoya Brown's attorneys to figure out what we will do. I potentially will go to Tennessee to see her. Thank you all for tuning in around the country. And for our political analysts, Amos Jones and Regina Wilson from the California Black Media, we're going to continue this conversation next Friday. Watch the Alabama election and the outcome. And thank you, Attorney Ben Crump, for being our special guest at the top of the show to discuss Walter Scott. And for all of you around the country, remember, whatever you do, however you do it, whichever way you do it, remind yourself every day that if you give up, you cannot get up. Those who get up are the risers and the leaders of the world. Those who give up are the cowards of the world, who are afraid to face their own face and their own mortality. And those are the ones who die with no leadership or life that they gave other than their own self-aggrandizement. What will you do bigger than you? What will you watch? What will you put inside of your body? How will you treat your body? Get up. Don't give up. Thank you for tuning in on YouTube, tuning in on Facebook, tuning in on KTAV. We're going to keep it going. We're going to keep it hot. I'll see you next Friday. Follow me on Twitter. Keep the conversation going at Shane Harris Now. Instagram at Shane Harris Now. Facebook, get on up with Reverend Shane Harris. And I'll talk to you next week. Don't give up. Get up and stand up for what you believe in. Because if you give up, you'll never find a way forward. But if you get up, you'll be the way forward. Thank you for tuning in. Talk to you next week.